Mic check. All right, there it is. We'll be starting here. Excuse me. We'll be starting here shortly. What's going on, y'all? Howdy, howdy. It is no noise time. We are live. It is the 29th of March, about a quarter to noon. Z Rex, what's going on? Hope y'all are having a wonderful hump day. Hey, what's up, Amaris94? How are you doing today? Thanks for joining us. Oh man, good old time to look at some markets. It's always a good time to look at markets, right? Well, at least that's what I think. Let's go ahead and just jump right into this, get into the data, check it out. We got plenty to talk about. We got a little bit of nice price action today by the bulls, so that's good. Let's go a little bit of pressure. But we didn't get any follow through yesterday, and now bulls are saying suck it as we stay above the 21 EMA as well as that 26,000 area. Looking pretty nice so far. What we'd really like to see, still same as Monday, is this candle needs to like be moving up here. Really would like to see it above this wick at about 29.3 or so. If we could get that above here, that would look really good for probably a push to about 32K. And then we'd have to reassess there because there's a lot of resistance between 28 and 32. Pretty much mega resistance. But pretty decent defense so far by the Bulls as we're just kind of hanging out above the mid 20,000s range. And again, I can't change my stance on this until we break, about 24,000. As long as we're above 24,000, I still think crypto is in a really good spot. Bitcoin is still building a very nice chart. And we've got one open and close above all moving averages, pretty much almost in the clear here. I usually like to see three opening closes. It's kind of like my general rule of thumb. So that would be this week, and then one more week that would be ending. I guess what is that? April. I don't know. Let's see. April 7th. So we get both of those weeks up here above 24K. Probably looks pretty damn good, and I would look for continuation on this. I mean, this is a decent setup. Can't hate it for the Bulls right now, except for that little doji. Let's see. We've got the futures doing the same thing. Filled this little tiny gap. I mean, we got all of the EMAs on the short term erect, pointing to the upside. The 200 quite isn't there on futures, but on spot price, it is. And it's in a very nice spot at the 21K area, which we watched on the, let's go over here to the hash ribbon, because the hash ribbon has also given us that confluent zone as well. The vertical orange line here is where the buy signal triggered. Triggered a little early here, still had a little 23% drawdown. But then look where it triggered, right at the same spot, right at 21,000. And that's where price got caught, too, on this last little attempt by the bears to break down price action. So just kind of nice confluence among lots of indicators, weeklies, dailies, monthlies even, too, for the 55 is also around there. So there's a lot of confluence in the low 20,000s. So as long as we're kind of floating above all that, I do think this is constructively building a bullish chart. Ethereum, nice too. Look at this, comes to retest the top of structure, and we're getting back to follow through to the upside. This is pretty good. I like this as long as we're staying above kind of this range. Nothing's really different from Monday. The Bears did try to take it down a little bit, although it was a weak ass attempt, and they have already been deflected thus far. So again, more short term confirmation that these, like mid 1700s and that mid 20,000s is the line in the sand, and we're just right above that on the line in the sand to the upside. So about 1850-ish, and then for Bitcoin is about 9,000, probably like 29.5. That's what we just said, I believe. No, it's about 29 flat. So let's see. BitO, what is BitO doing? BitO is just kind of sloppy. Man, BitO options are just not acting the best. I have some BitO positions on, and they just don't move really great, man, to like spot price. So a lot of the juice has come out of those, and I have them all the way out to January. They're like far dated, like more than pretty much 100 days on most of them. And, on this day here, this day and this day, they were all pumped up and juicy, all just well in the money. Not in the money strike wise, but in the money like profit wise. And this last couple days, most of that has just gotten taken out. So, and the spreads widened up on those things. I wish there was a better options play for Bitcoin, for America anyway. If you're outside of America, there actually is, and it's called Deribit, and it's very nice. Deribit works very well, but we just don't really have that. Anyway, Grayscale right at the bottom of this big gap here. Kind of little gap fill play from this 16 to about 1850. That will probably get filled pretty soon, especially the longer Bitcoin kind of holds up here above this 26,000. I do think that gap looks like it's about to be getting filled here shortly. BitO's gap has pretty much already been filled. Yeah, almost to the T right here. It's got another gap right around 21 handle, so we'll see if that gets filled here shortly. Like not today, but shortly. Yes, it's going to be in the next hour. It'll easily get filled. ETH futures, this is a really constructive chart. I like the sine wave looking action here. It's not too aggressive. We're kind of just drifting up and to the right, a nice 45-degree angle. So that's sexy. I like that on the futures. Litecoin, man, most of these altcoin charts are probably going to look similar, except for XRP. XRP is killing it. But a lot of these are just kind of lollygagging in their previous structure, like around February and late January. So, I mean, it does look pretty decent, but you can see this trend line, lots of resistance at $100 on Litecoin. It's been that way for a long time now. So whenever we get above 100, then that really opens the doors to, let's see here. Oh, man, I like the auto zoom here. Let's go to the weekly. Yeah, so much resistance at like $100. Past 100 though, we probably get a 130 stab, and then we'll have to reassess. There, Ethereum Classic looking a lot like kind of the Litecoin chart, just testing the earlier year structure. This is the different one. Look at this. Freaking. And here is, we talk about this all the time on the channel, is the historical volatility. I mean, look at this. We mentioned it too on the stream that there's a big move likely coming, because when historical volatility flashes this red color, it just means pretty much like Bollinger Bands, or the price action is getting really compressed, and it is directionless. So you kind of have to use structure and other stuff to get an idea of potential direction. But I mean, pretty epic move here, about almost 50% to the wick of this candle. Pretty beast mode move. After this pump, we were watching this, and as long as it was staying above 42-ish pennies, it was looking real good, and it continues to look good. Now, is it pretty damn vertical? Yes, it definitely is, but I mean, this chart's just building up pretty good. I mean, look at this. We're getting above here. If we can close today above like 53.5 pennies, that'll be a higher body high. And then we just got to keep building higher lows. So not too bad for bread, garlic bread over here in the XRP army. So this looks pretty damn bullish above mid 40s. I don't have any problem with that chart. XLM, same thing, pumping pretty hard. This thing looks really good. It's above all its structure. This thing looks great above the low nines. Above the low nines, I ain't got no problems with this. All the oscillators are looking nice. The only thing that's not really on your side is the slope of the 200 moving average. So that's still going to need probably a couple of weeks of above 9.5 to really start curling up. But pretty nice, though. TRX, kind of like all the Litecoins. Most of them look like this, challenging the earlier the year price action and structure. Nothing really too solid there. I do like this candle, the defense by the bulls each time we got to this about 6-cent level. So above 6 cents, this looks okay. Below 6 cents, I would really start to question this trend. But, this is a pretty classic kind of bump and run type pattern, bumping up against this line here, this trend line on the top. We have a failed breakdown too on the descending triangle as we bump and run. So this is pretty damn good structure here for bulls. Above 6 pennies, this looks pretty sexy, and the target on this is going to be initially about upper 7s, and if bulls really want to take the reign on this, the target's all the way up here around 10, just sub-teens on that. So good morning, Mr. Hellbound. How are you doing today? Good to see you, man. Dot, same thing, kind of just over here in the structure left, like almost getting sexy time, but not quite there. Now, will these charts, like some of these that look like this, because it's pretty much, there's like 3 different types of charts in all of crypto land right now, this being one of them, this being another one, kind of, it is breaking out. And what's the other one? I think it's like BSV, where it's pretty much not getting even above the daily 21. So most of them do look like this, though, some variation of this. So these will break out if Bitcoin just keeps staying above 24,000 handle. And look at this defense. This thing is starting to look pretty good here. I like this a lot above about mid 35s. Mid 30s. 35 is mid 35. Wait, oh well, I'm confusing myself there. Mid 30s. So above 35. Pennies looks really good on this. We are getting the bulls attempting to take out wicks too, so they are trying to take over the Momo here. Oh man, look, Link's still in the middle of its stupid range. Jeez, man. This thing has been range bound for about a year now at this point. Just keeps going sideways. Eventually it'll get out of the range and it'll be a good trade. And you can just kind of use the box as the target. So you just like stack it on here. So the target would be up here around 12. And conversely, if it did break out to the downside, you'd kind of just do it to the downside, which would be about $4. So Big move on Link coming eventually. I guess you have to kind of lean to the upside just because Bitcoin is above, that 24,000 level. So that gives a little bit more Momo for most of the altcoins to the upside. Very sloppy EMAs, but real tight here. Super, super tight within about 15 or 5-ish. This actually looks pretty damn good. And once we clear like 120, this thing probably at least tests and maybe makes another higher high off of this 133 pump. So not too bad for EOS. Same kind of chart as everything else. Little fake out to the upside, fake out to the downside, back in the box. So what's in the box, man? Just some tight price action. Really needs to get probably weeklies. Let's go to weekly. Yeah, look at this. The weekly doesn't have any open and closes above this box range. It actually both came in there. So that's really solidifying this price action. 120 and 137. So open and close on a weekly. Probably one will do it on this because it's so compressed. But you get open and close on weekly below or above this range, it probably is going to stab. Man, this thing on the upside probably has got 180 run. And then if it really wants to get crazy, just above 200 at this horizontal, that would be a hell of a move. And then to the downside, if it breaks to the downside, yeah, look out. You're probably going to test the mega lows there. BSV still looking like garbage. But, what are you going to do? Poor Craig. Poor Craig. It's a pretty decent chart, though, for the H pattern. We do have this guy building like so. So we have really major support around 33. I have bought some of this. I'm slowly just nibbling on this the last few days. So it's just too easy of a trade for me. I just kind of take it out and bail on the position if we break this 32 level. So, that's like less than 10%. Risk for me, I like the odds of that. And, if it just gets back up into the box, it's pretty much like a 2-to-1. And that could turn into also a longer term holding position as well for myself because it's just way down here in the abyss on the lows. Hellbound says, I use a volume oscillator on my chart. I find on BTC price action turns at 22% and negative 22% on all time frames. Oh, really? The volume oscillator. Okay. Well, we'll go peep that here in a second. I'm assuming that's going to just be something on the indicator list for trading view. Is that a free one? Right now on the daily, it's the lowest it's ever been. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Well, we'll go pop that. We'll go peep that as soon as I finish up the rest of these. I'm curious about that one. Oh man, XMR kind of putting in at the end of the stream, end of the day on Monday, man. Just absolutely, it looked really good, and then absolute murder fest at the close, all the way back down, back below 158. We are rallying to 158 now as of today, but okay. So the thing with these magenta candles is they're very important. It's pretty much like the pivot of the trend. So if it starts getting comfy below it, you best watch out. If it starts getting comfy above it, bears best watch out. So, and you do see this a lot of times. It'll get thrown back in attempted breakouts. So I will say if price does get back above this 161, pretty much 162 area, I would look for this thing to run to this cluster here in January, which would be probably about mid 170s. Conversely, losing 150, not good. So, but this is still pretty decent structure with all this support right here in the low 150s. I still like that. Zcash just barely doing anything, just floating sideways. It's been pretty much 2 weeks now. Pretty easy range here, 38 and about 34.5. Dash looks decent above 53, so nothing really special or different about that from the last few videos. I'm trying to regain some of the Momo here, but not quite there on the weekly yet. So, Like this is one of the other types of charts. It's either right in the middle of the previous year's range or like right underneath it. And here we're right underneath it. So, oh, Doji Poo. Doji Poo is just bouncing off this trend line. I mean, this is getting super compressed. I do have to lean bullish as F on this one as long as it's above 7 pennies. I mean, this thing could just pop out of nowhere. And I imagine good old Mr. Elon will probably say something. He always likes to say something about Doge every once in a while. And it has been a while. I guess the last time was back over here on this huge pump. He mentioned something. Maybe that was the Twitter thing. I don't remember, but it seemed to correlate with Mr. Musk. But yeah, this looks really good above 7 pennies. And as long as Bitcoin's holding that 24K area, 25K, I like this a lot for just a random pop out of nowhere. I do have some Dogecoin right now. Faux show. And I would look for at least 9 cents on this. We start clearing 9 cents and getting comfy above there. I mean, that's easy 10 pennies. And ultimately, longer term, probably up here around that 14.2 area. That's the next major resistance point on the doggy coin. And then after that, let's see what some fib stuff says. Whoops. Let's pull a fib. Oh, yeah, look at that. The 382 is right at 14. Interesting. So above 14, the next target would be, we'll throw a horizontal up here, would be all the way up at about 26 cents. That would be a hell of a run for a trade, which, doesn't have the worst odds right now. And for something where you can take 11, 15% risk, shit. Or if you're real conservative, the 7, I mean, that's only 7% risk from here. Shit, boy. Oh, STX. I nibbled on this a little bit on this trend line. Seems to be a real good entry so far. Very nice. Taking off. I mean, this is sine waving as long as this is kind of doing its thing like this. I like it a lot. Clearing back above $1.05. This thing probably tests and takes out this previous high around like 120s. So this one's getting most of the hype. Obviously, there is mega resistance at about 160-ish on this one. So I'll probably trim some if we get to 120s and then kind of reassess and see what happens there. True ain't really doing shit. It's not being true to the bulls right now. It is still making higher highs and higher lows, so that's okay. And if we pull a fib right here, we're right in the middle of the 786, 618. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting spot to be. Let's go to weekly. Yeah, weekly's okay. I mean, this is all right as long as it's above about 6.3. As long as it's about 6.3, it's okay. Kind of nasty close also on Monday, too. So, but still decent, especially if Bitcoin's holding up. It'll probably be fine. Hex just pumping again. It's up 18%. This thing moves freaking 20, 30% intraday, all day, every day, it seems. I mean, a couple days it's not, but it's pretty wild chart. Lower volume than I think liquidity than most stuff, but hey, it's there. It's enough to trade. V-Chain kind of looking like all those other charts. This is like 70% of them with this structure. Looks okay, though, above 2.1. Below 2.1, I'd really look out and really needs to clear 2.4. Atom, bouncing off this trend line. It did technically make a body close, but below this structure over here. But this is a decent reaction off of this trend line. And as long as it kind of is holding above this level at about just shy of $11, it looks decent. Yeah, the weekly is just kind of, it's got a little symmetrical triangle here on the bottoms. You can kind of see right there. Nothing great because all the slopes are still down. So Adam's trying to get out of the woods, but not. It's kind of the weaker of most of the pairs here. Really needs to get back above $12 to get super excited. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I nibbled on some Osmos too. So this one just chilling around 80 cents. I do like this one as long as it's holding that mid 70s. I think this one has a good risk to reward potential of just even running up to, close to $1. So not too shabby. Ton, I do like this above $2. It did. Bears are trying to take it down, but look, they're not getting any follow through for about a week now. Really defending this $2 level, and as long as Bulls are defending that, I do think this has the potential to come back up here to like 240. And if it gets back above this trend line, which is at about 250 now, and starts camping up there, this thing probably will make new highs. So pretty decent structure. Sub $2, you can forget about all that, and we probably go to like mid-dollar range. All right, let's go look at this volume thing that Hellbound's talking about. He called it the volume. Well, I got to spell it right though. Oscillator. All right, so I'm assuming it's this one. There's a couple different versions. We'll just go off this basic one here. All right, let's see. What is this? So you said 22%. So 22 up, 22 down. All right, let's look. Let's just put a horizontal at 22, and then let's put one at 22 negative, and then let's go to bitty bits, see what he's talking about here. All right, so, except I got to redraw it on here. No, it's not exactly there, but close is close enough. All right, and I'm also going to turn off this middle one. Hold on. And let's take off the 0 line. There we go. So above here, you say when it's above there, it usually flips the, what did he say? Price action turns at 22 and 20. So at the 22 handle. Okay, yeah. So you do have a little flipperooskies right here. Right here, let's see. We just barely got it. Technically, I guess it did for a little bit. Is it already getting negated on this one? Possibly. Let's see. Here's a 22. This is I don't know if it flipped here, but it definitely coincided with breaking out of this range on the bottom. So, I mean, that's definitely noteworthy. Is this right at 22? No, it's like 21. Here's 22 here. It still had this big candle fall through about 14%, but as it came out of it. So what I'm wondering is maybe when it comes out of the from the 22 range, if that has like some Momo on there. I'm not seeing anything like too serious with it, because you have 22 right here on this candle, and then it still sells off like another 20% after that. Here's one right here too. Yeah, and ends up still selling off another 15%. Here's one on the bottom side. It just went sideways. I mean, it did have a little rally, about 5% roughly. Here's another one here. Maybe it had kind of a pivot point. Yeah, there might be something to this. I don't see it like that as simple as that, as the price just flipping. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, it looks like. Because this one, it did flip pretty good here for a little 17%. Yeah, this one, it did flip right here for a counter trend rally. Let's see. This one, not so much. I guess you could kind of count this one. It was kind of like flipping price from this run up right there. What is this? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good too right here. Maybe a better way to use this is when it flips over 22. Let's just do it on the upside right now. You just mark that candle on the low on the body or the tail. And then if price stays above that, then it's likely like a pivot point. You might want to look out for that. But if it breaches it, then you negate that signal. That might be one way to play that. Like I said, I'm just kind of spitballing here. I don't really know anything about this indicator. So let's say if you did that same thing here, it prints this candle. And as long as it stays above the low, it could be a pivot spot, which it clearly does on this one. It just ends up taking off. It doesn't hit negative 22 very often. You got like one right here and over here. Yeah, not too shabby. And again, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just spitballing, kind of just looking at this real quick. Yeah, here's one on the downside, but it still sells off another It seems to be 15-20% most of the times, which is kind of interesting. On the downside when it's incorrect. Like here's another one. Let's see. Oh, maybe let's see. Come on. Yeah, look at that. Another 15-20%. Yeah, I don't know. There might be something to that, man. I have to look at how that's kind of calculated. Let's see if any inputs it has. You can do short. You can change some of the stuff. All right. Not too shabby. Hey, man, if that works for you and you can make money off of it, more power to you, sir. You'll be using the Binance. Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. If something only works on one chart, if it only works on one price chart, then it's probably not that great because it should work across the board. It shouldn't just work only on Binance chart or something like that. It should work on most of the charts. So I would throw a little salt on that just because of that. Let's see real quick. Yeah, I mean it's going to show probably pretty much the same. Yeah, it's on this same candle there. I mean, yeah, this one kind of marked. It was close. Had a little fake out rally right there. This one did. Yeah, this one had to fall through to the downside. This one was a pivot point right here. So that's like what I'm seeing more is like of a pivot point. Like it's like mark that candle, and if price can be defended there, whether it's bullish or bearish counter trend action, then that's like a significant candle structure is kind of more how I'm seeing this. Not really just a it's going to flip on that candle, but more so that that's an important candle for momentum to go to the other side. Price needs to breach that. Is kind of more how I'm seeing that oscillator, which would make kind of sense on a volume, something based on volume. Yeah, see, so this, if you used it right when it cracks, so this is pretty much bearish as hell until we can get and retake, some part of this structure, this candle, which did happen kind of right here. And then you have, a attempted rally. It doesn't get follow through for another month or two, but actually it doesn't really get any follow through for a while. But you can see once it loses that candle again, on that 22, you can see, okay, this could be a bottom as long as we hold this candle structure. We got a couple days like right below it, but then you get this hammer kind of confirming that it's decent. And so you can see here that it was defended this whole time on this consolidation. But when it did break down right here on these few candles, it did go to the next selling point. So, and then you have another candle here on 22 that gets marked. And then that's kind of dictating the next sideways consolidation area. And then you get a few candles close below that one in continuation. So that's kind of more how I'm seeing that oscillator there. So that might be something to that. Not too shabby, man. So way more volume. Yeah, Binance does, but is it real volume though, right? Or is it just that wash trade and shit? All right, let's go to normies. Oops, the normie normsons. All right, so it looks like we are attempting to make a higher low here. We got still that major resistance at 480. Let's go to the weekly. I know I got a lot of drawings on here. We just got a lot of different trends. Here, we can take this one off. We don't need that one. I do want to leave this one on, though. Man, 4080 has the major mega super resistance. And there's not really any good momentum here. Let's zoom in to the 3 hour. The 3 hour is attempting to gain bullish momentum here. It's kind of breaking out of the trend line that's longer term, going way, way back. So that's a first, but look at this. We are getting into this little resistance zone right up under 4080. So until we get above 4080, I consider all this noise, and that's pretty much it. So below 4080, it's noise to me, and bears still have a slight edge until we get back above that and can kind of confirm that this maybe is the higher low instead of this lower high, lower low structure on the intermediate. of time frame, then whatever. It really needs to get above that 40-80 area. Most BTC volume on the planet, I think. Yeah, Binance is badass with the volume and stuff. Let's just assume it's the real volume. I mean, I don't have any problems with Binance. I know a lot of people hate CZ and stuff, but I mean, they got lots of good education resources on their website. I mean, they're pretty transparent. They've always been, saying what when maintenance goes down. They've always been very vocal with the community. I mean, yeah, there's probably some one-offs here and there that they've done that's shady, but man, they keep innovating and their website works really good. I don't know. People just gonna hate on them. That's fine. Whatever. People always gonna hate, right? That's for sure. All right, let's erase some of these lines. We don't need all this stuff. Hell, they've innovated more in their short life than like traditional brokers have since like the 90s, pretty much. Like TD Ameritrade and Interactive Brokers and a lot of those guys, dude, if y'all use those, their platforms literally look almost exactly the same since the year 2000. So, yeah, and that volume thing is definitely kind of interesting. I think there might be something to that. I'm going to play around with it a little bit more. All right, so 40-80, that's kind of the resistance till we're above there. Just noise to me. And really, as long as we're above 3,900, it's still noise. It's just kind of chop fest 3,000. NQ, man, look at NQ trying to freaking pump it up here to 13.3, like sort of flagging out a little bit. 12.6, man, as long as it's above 12.6, 12.5, it looks pretty damn good to the upside. You cannot really hate on that chart. I mean, it's above the EMAs. It doesn't have the cross yet, so they're not in sequential order at the moment. Another probably 3 weeks at least it'll take to do that. And by sequential order, I mean shortest to longest. So you got the 21's my shortest term. So I like that when they're all in confluence with each other. But this is a pretty decent structure here. Can't get mad as long as they're above that 12.5 handle. Looks pretty damn good. Shockingly enough, it doesn't really make that much sense, but you kind of just have to watch price action. YM, the Dow's trying to break this trend line today. Look at that as we attempt to get over this horizontal major resistance at 32.8. So that's pretty decent. Still is going to need the rest of this week and probably part of next week to really kind of flip this, because the first attempt to getting over here is like whatever. But it is trying, so you got to give them a little bit of credit. And let's see, on the weekly, what we got? On the weekly, I guess the weekly's okay. You do have sequential order here. They're not sloped super great, but I'd feel a lot more comfortable if this was above 33,000 for the Bulls. That's for sure. Rut Dog still struggling around here in the mid 1700s. It's at 1776 right now, attempting to kind of get some Momo, but it's still well below the 21. I mean, the Bears got a stranglehold on this one, no doubt. And that makes sense. They got lots of banking exposure, lots of resistance here at 1800. So as long as it's below 1800, it's still technically making lower lows and lower highs, even daily, even on the 3 hour. On the weekly, it is making a lower low from this structure, but it's really just in a giant range for almost a year at this point. Geez, okay, well, that's cool. Actually, let's go back to that on a monthly and look. Yeah, look at this, man. Monthly range pretty much from 19 to about 1740s, that area where we've been dancing with down here. So, man, you got the monthly, the daily, the weekly. All support that. Dude, if we even got like a daily open and close below 1730, this thing would probably at least go to like mid 16s. So very, very important level that the Bulls are defending here. But they still got the pressure on them, man. They got all this price action structure pointing down. You got all the EMAs sloping down. You got this trend line. So they got a lot of pressure on them for the ruts. Let's see here. Dow Jones kind of hanging out on the 200 in this little trend line. Is this just going to be kind of the bump and run for Dow Jones? It definitely could be. If it defends this 13.5 area and we get back above, 14.4 back in this red box, that would actually look pretty damn good if we could do that. So still early to call that, but definitely in the cards. And yeah, the weekly is right on the mama too. So that's not too terrible. You could argue this is like some kind of inverted complex head and shoulders type pattern right here. So not too shabby. Sub this little cluster though at 13.5. I would watch out. Look at this continuation so far from DAX today with this little cluster, kind of the fallout. Deutsche Bank's going under, Credit Suisse is effed, blah blah blah, whatever. Now we're just back up into this stupid range. I mean, Jesus Christ. We got pretty much something like this, right? And so this is mega resistance here with another mega resistance at this horizontal at 15.8. So bulls will have to be very mucho strong to punch through this. They get above here and get above this cluster and really this 15.8 level, dude. Man, we're talking pump fest. I would be looking for new highs if that happened. So, because that'll take a lot of strength by the bulls to get above there. And that would probably roll over into our markets too, because this is the German market, the DAX. That'll probably roll over into our markets too and give some bullish Momo over here if that was to the case and that were to play out. But first attempt in the box, it's probably just going to be a little bit range bound and sideways for the first one. So we'll just have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. Oh, the Shanghai composite. Here's China. China's just still sideways in this box. As soon as it gets out of this box, though, we're probably looking for, close to 3,000 or close to this top here at about 34.20. So it's range bound till it ain't. VIX is way below 22. Look at this. It lost 22 on Monday's stream. Ended up closing way down. It wasn't that far down on the stream because we do them earlier in the day. But yeah, you can see this bitch went all the way back down to the trend line. Will this be another higher low, though, on this little intermediate structure, which the line in the sand is about 1850? Possibly, but with VIX below 22, as we've talked about a lot, and VVIX below 100, that kind of helps for the bulls for sure. Yeah, look at this, collapsing back down to the middle of this cluster F range. So pretty interesting. Keep an eye on these, though. If we start seeing a little pump action, possible warrants, continuation to the downside. But as of now, kind of in the clear, so to speak. Oil pumped pretty damn hard all the way back up. Very nice candle on Monday. We got a little doji yesterday above the 21, but we're getting a little follow through today. So this actually looks pretty good. We're back in this blue box. Did this turn into a false breakdown right here? There is mega support in the mid 60s on oil. You can go to the monthly and not see anything on my chart apparently because this stupid freaking negative 5,000 tick. But if you go back on the weekly, the monthly, look at this structure. Kind of a big channel that it was working its way through. And you got the 200 monthly is right there. You got the 200 weekly is right there. You've got the daily structure of the trend line crosses in the false breakdown, at least so far. Lots and lots of support here. The tops of all this structure. Look at all this pivot where my cursor is. Look at all this pivoting around mid 60s. There is a shit ton. So this is mega, mega support in the mid 60s. Bears would have to really get below, I think, 60 to 62 for this to really start to look bearish. But right now, this is looking like bulls are just defending it to come back into this sideways consolidation zone. And with that SPR thing, the reserves we looked at on Monday's stream, I mean, that's just pretty wild. It's at the lowest it's been in almost 40 years. I mean, was that just to keep gas prices low? I don't know what the whole idea is. That I don't try to read in or think about that shit too much. I like to just watch price, but it's definitely noteworthy that it's had major draws that pretty much have correlated with this price action too. So now that they're getting kind of towards the bottom of the barrel, if you will, this back above 72 bucks is turning this into false breakdown. And what happens on false breakdowns? You usually get fast price action to the other side of range, which would be all the way to about $80, $81. And as y'all know, we got mega resistance at the 82 handle, but pretty interesting price there. All right, here we go. Look at this. We got a little gap on. Is that a futures rollover gap, though? I don't remember. Let's see. Sometimes you can put the, I think they have the splits. Yeah, it was. Okay, that's what I figured. Because I'm like, man, that did not rally that hard. Right. I mean, so yeah, this is just like a little flip on the contract. So will it get continuation? Possibly. It is defending in an interesting spot right here at this hammer. So if it can hold like, that was that level we were looking at before it kind of broke down here was the 2020 area, or I'm sorry, 220. So if it can hold 220 here, it probably will come up and fill this gap, maybe go right to the bottom of this structure, like 250 or something. So more confluence that two teens is a very decent support for now. Man, we start getting even a couple open and closes below there. You can see that we had almost one, or we had this one technically, but we didn't get any follow through on that. So that's why I usually like to do that 2 or 3 open and closes because, we're all watching the same movie. And sometimes, I think people can be that have lots of money and stuff. And since we're all watching the same movie, there can be some little nefarious things like that and trick everybody, right? It's like the first candle that goes over a 200 moving average, which like a lot of people use. They're like, oh shit, the trend's over. But it's like, man, one candle don't make a trend, man. All right, notes, bonds, just kind of chilling up here, lollygagging. It's got this weird like reverse triangle, ascending triangle or symmetrical triangle thing. Maybe megaphone type pattern. I mean, it's pretty neutral until it breaks out officially from the ranges, which on this is fairly decent. On the week, man, look at this how different it looks on the weekly, which is fairly decent here. But we're between the oscillators. I mean, we're just underneath the trend line too, so it's not the easiest chart to read, and this bodes well for confusion for the rate hikes and what people are kind of anticipating if they're going to keep doing them, blah, 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 all that kind of narrative and shit. So I will say that this looks decent, though, with all the EMAs kind of real close to each other around 113, 114. So as long as it's kind of holding like mid 113s, I mean, it's not too shabby. TMF filling out this. This is a clear descending triangle on the leveraged version of those. So not near as pretty of a chart. This one's actually a lot more bearish as long as this keeps filling out. And you got about 70% coming up here in early May. So, interesting chart right there. TNX kind of just chilling here. Did it do a false breakdown too? I'd say if we get back above 370, that would be false breakdown. We probably pump pretty hard. But again, we just need a little more time on that. The market's still digesting the Fed and Mr. Powell's idea for hikes and all that shit. All that fun stuff for Daddy Fed. Looks fine above a buck. Is it getting a little bit heavy? Yeah, you could probably argue that. For this, man, I need to make this box a little bit lighter. That's a little too bright for me. Oh, and then I went all the way on the other side of that. There we go. That's better. I can deal with that one. Decent over here, and we probably have a pretty deep retrace at this point. Yeah, almost 786. So, I mean, as long as it kind of holds this structure, it looks decent. Definitely getting a little bit threatened, though. All right, let's go to gold. Gold still hanging out here, looking pretty good above 1942. Can't hate that. Also about 1940 on the weekly too. So not too shabby. You do have the doji candle last week. See if we can get the bulls to close above 1990. If we can get the bulls this week to close above 1990, that would actually look pretty damn sexy. Let's see. Let's go to the 2-week. Nikes. This closes today, actually, at the close today, the 15-day, or you can use the 2-week too if you don't have custom time frames. Let's see if it looks pretty much the same. It actually already closed. And did it close higher? Oh, man, it closed right on the freaking 1984 level. What a funny number to close on for the 2-week. But on the 15-day, this is pretty nice, man. I do like that this is closing above this 1930, upper 1930s. And then we also closing above kind of here. And you can see the only times we've been up here is for 2 candles of the 15-day period. So that's pretty nice, man. This could be setting up for a real big move. Gold is looking pretty damn sexy. All it needs to do is get a couple of probably dailies would do it. Let's look at the yeah, dailies would do it, man. Let's go back over here. Yeah, I think if we got like a few dailies open and close above 2,000 again, this thing will probably run pretty hard. And a weekly, man, this one technically wasn't. I mean, it's 1997. That's probably splitting hairs. So we're going to count that as an open and close above 2,000. And that's the only one that we've had. We only had one. So I bet if we get one weekly open and close above 2,000, this thing probably makes new highs. And as y'all know, our immediate target is around 2,300. This only starts to get real nasty back below like 1850-ish. You could argue a little bit higher than that, maybe even 19, but 1850 definitely back below this little test here. I would start to say, well, gold sucks. Oh, man, look at this. We're right up on the trend line. Will it actually break this time? Will it break? Let's go to the 15-day. God dang, look at that. Freaking right up on the trend line. Let's go here. I'm just curious. Dang, right up on the mama and the trend line. All right, so the resistance is no joke on silver at that $24 level. We really got to clear that 24.20. I mean, you can see it try to do it for, a couple of months here almost and couldn't get it done. That's it, 24.20. If that happens, I'm looking for probably $26 at least and maybe further. And if that coincides with gold breaking out too, man, that would be a pretty sexy time. Platinum just barely hanging on. It is kind of breaking this trend line, but it does have the horizontal support still. And as long as it's above 950, can't hate on it too much. Palladium still defending the mid upper 1300s. As long as it's doing that, I don't have a problem with it. GDX, look at this, right up to 32. We finally got there yesterday. Let's see. And we're back above the trend line on GDXJ, which actually goes all the way back to 2015 on a weekly. So that would be good, getting back above and holding above this 37 handle. That's very constructive for bulls. So we're getting some of the confluence stuff for precious metals, y'all. That's pretty nice. Let's go see if we're getting the same thing for Bitcoin. And this is a minor index I kind of just made up for kind of a GDX style thing, but for crypto. And yes, I know there's a lot more coins in this, but not coins, but miners. But if you put in all of those, then you don't get that much history, and it only goes back to pretty much like a year. So I decided to kind of limit it a little bit. But this looks actually pretty damn good. Look at this defense by the bulls. Right to all this structure. EMAs are starting to point up. The slope is attempting to get going. If we could just get DMI to kind of take off from here and push the bears back down, which would coincide with about 320-ish, 316. Excuse me. I'd be looking for a test up here at 400, and that would probably coincide with Bitcoin breaking $30,000 if I had to guess. Cores. Ooh, nice defense on cores here. Little dump. Dang, look at this little dump fest. Down 20% in the day, but made a hammer candle right there in the morning. Oh, yeah, I like this. I bought a little bit of cores yesterday. Oh, they got earnings. Is that today? Or did they already do them? Earnings. I guess it's going to be after. Usually there's like a little sign that's like AM or PM. Looks like they are going to have earnings. So that's a little bit risky that I took on that position. Usually don't like to trade around earnings, but hey, whatever. So yeah, nibbled on this one a little bit. Just it has a good potential to fill this gap at some point. And the longer Bitcoin holds 24, 25,000, I think that just kind of those odds just keep going up. And it's pretty easy risk. About 20% to the downside, it loses this structure right here at about 22 cents. Then I'll bail on that one. But man, what sucks is they took off the options on this. Cores somehow it even had options on a penny stock, which is kind of wild. But now they don't. They just kind of delisted and they're not tradable. At least on Interactive Brokers, they're not, which kind of sucks. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, this one range bound. Until it gets out of this range, man, this thing is going to probably move bigly at some point, something like that. So I'm just looking for kind of a gap fill, which coincides nicely with the 200 moving average up there, right at the top of the gap at $1. So I probably won't even take it for that long. Probably even just do most of it off at 50, 60 cents, and then leave some on the ride to see if it does get the gap. Because you have to remember this 200 is going to be working its way down ever so slightly over the next couple weeks, right? So it'll be down, to 70s by late April or something like that. So depending on how long this takes to come to fruition. So like that. Overstock, I've been trying to get filled on this. The market maker doesn't like me for some reason. And look at this. We got this nice vol flash on here. I believe we spoke about that on the streams earlier in March, that we're probably about to get some big moves. I really actually like this chart on Overstock. We got this 618 retest defending the 21 with a nice little hammer candle. And this could easily turn into like a little intermediate bump and run type pattern going back to early last year. If we just kind of break out of this and hover around $20, this thing could really be setting up for some upside action. I've been trying to get filled on call spreads on this, but I'm not having the best of luck. I might just go straight stock on it, or maybe I'll sell some puts around like $18 or something like that. But yeah, the market maker just don't want to fill me yet. Damn it. Damn it, Bobby. I've been working that order all week with no luck yet. Spreads are a little bit wider than I like, but that's okay. T0 at the very bottom of range. So is this a decent trade right here? Probably. The one thing that sucks about T0 is you have to trade it on their platform, and it's kind of lame, but it actually does look pretty good here around 270s. As long as it's holding this little lows around 270, you can't hate it. I mean, this bitch does pump out of nowhere. Here's like a little 100% pump out of nowhere. It usually goes to the other side of range real fast and then just dribbles out. So possibly a play there. What is this? Oh, Voyager Digital. Oh, yeah. Binance was going to buy them. Poor Voyager, dude. They only went from about $20 to 2 cents. Pretty good run. Man, absolute brute. Just rapage, man. Terrible. Exodus. Is this Exodus the wallet? Because if it is, their volume is absolutely garbage, but their product is really cool, though. I wonder if that's tradable on, let's see. Well, you got to type it right. Let's look at that. Exodus movement. If that is the wallet, it probably is. I don't think I would have put that on that list. Yeah, it is. That's the logo for that wallet. I actually really like this wallet, the Exodus wallet. Um, what country are they from? Nebraska. Oh shit, man, they're American. Okay, well that's cool. I didn't know they were based out of America. All right, I like that. What is this? Through third party, blah blah blah. All right, so we can close that. So this is that wallet. I think they have one of the better wallets. This is shit for volume, though. Yeah, wow, look at this volume down here in the bottom right. That I'm looking at 473 shares. Uh, yeah, that's pretty brutal. That is pretty brutal. Not making no money. Strong sell. Hey, the wallet's nice though, and you can't really hate on it if it's above $2. You know, maybe someday this thing pumps really hard. Really, really ugly chart though. When you see a chart like this, like these days, this is like zero trading pretty much. When there's like this funky ass flat line candle looking thing. Yeah, usually you don't want to trade stuff like this just because it's hard to get out of. But could be better. Like when it pumps, you know, you actually do have one candle right here that looks normal on April. Oh, what is that? In April 22. All right, let's look at a couple of these. Coin. Hey, Coin's got major support at like $58, so that's not bad. Where's this one? Green. God dang. Brutal. This thing is really abusing the bump and run thing. It's literally bumping and running against this trend line for the whole year now. That usually doesn't go for that long. But man, yeah, I guess technically it looks okay above like 35 cents. So shit, I mean that's not terrible. It does have man. I guess we're getting miner earnings this week for crypto miners. That's another one. Let's see if Riot's in there. Oh no, Riot just did them recently. How about MicroStrategy? Well, they're not technically a miner, but BitF is a miner. Oh, they just had earnings, and they just met expectations, so made a little bit more monies. Not bad. How about SDIG? Yeah, SDIG also has earnings today. Hut just had earnings. They weren't good, but it rallied 50%, so suck it. Yeah, okay, interesting. This is XY Labs too, is part of TYZ stuff. Or sorry, not TYZ, T0 stuff. They're both traded on the same little stupid platform. It's pretty much there to trade like three things, those two being a couple of them. Silvergate, not touching that. Square, PayPal. Yeah, whatever. Let's look at sector majors. Man, a little pumpage today. Oil. Kind of green across the board for the most part. Nothing really standing out too bad here. Oh, metal's taking a little bit of a break, but everything looks to be looking fairly decent. Except banks just still hanging out on these lows. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're up 0.6% today, but they're still way down here on these lows. They got a lot of work to do still. Reefer madness. There's not much going on in the marijuana world. The only thing I was actually looking at these yesterday because I'm like, man, is there another opportunity for weed stonks? You know, some of the like GME, did that keep pumping? Just real quick, you know, like GME pumped really hard last week for Mimi Reed time. And so I was like, man, is there going to be any love for weed stocks? I know the headwinds are just really, really strong on it because of the scheduling of it. It really needs to be descheduled for it to have its next leg, or at least talks about it, whatever. But SMG and MO are huge companies. MO is Philip, part of Philip Morris, the Altria Group, and they're talking about doing weed stuff and getting into the weed game, which I just think is kind of interesting. And their charts are trying to correct here. So, they were in a very big downtrend for the last, 5, 6 years. It kind of attempted to break out, and it's been just hovering right here on these lows, trying to make like a basing pattern. And if something like that and SMG, Scott's Miracle Grow, are going to be in the space, they're probably going to break out first because they don't just do weed. But if they get pretty heavily into the weed game, it might be a little bit of a sign. So I'm kind of just watching these, and I do like that they're attempting to kind of flip and get out of their downward structures. Of course, like the weed stocks are not looking like that. It's like if we go to MJ, which is the American ETF. I mean, look at this thing. Just absolutely just brutal, man. It's like worse than nat gas. It's literally been selling off like every single week pretty much since the summer of 21. Just nasty, nasty price action. I mean, look at the monthly. This is a monthly chart. Brutal. At some point, you will see a candle like this, though, where it's up 47% and pumps a little bit. At some point. We got 420 coming up. Maybe we can get some 420 love, although I don't see that anywhere on the charts quite yet. But just something I'm kind of just keeping an eye on. If markets, too, can kind of rally here and we get over the banking thing faster, and as we come up to election, who knows? Biden might mention something about weed or some shit. Eventually, these are going to be decent plays. It's just the timing of them is very, very difficult. So I'm not in any of those yet, but just kind of keeping an eye on it. All right, I think that's it. No tickers. I don't see no tickers. So no tickers. We'll just do a little wrap up and call it a day. A day skis. I did want to look at one thing, the betting stocks. We were talking about DraftKings a little bit. Yeah, DraftKings actually looks pretty good above $16. Pretty decent chart here. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Some betting stuff is rallying. Oh, okay. Are the ralliers coming? Are the gamblers coming out to play? That one's not as good. But yeah, we were just talking about this in another chat group I was in, so I just kind of wanted to check it out real quick. But yeah, it actually looks pretty good above like the 15 handle. Can't hate on that too much. All right, final thoughts here. After I look at municipal bonds real fast. Still filling out this. It almost does have this inverted head and shoulders now. Does not have it on HYRG or junk bonds, though. Sloppier version on LQD. Pretty pronounced one here, though. Interesting. All right. All right. So, final thoughts. Bitcoin. Nice price action there. I do like that little follow through. We got this week, we got the 15-day closing. We got a green one already. When you get a green 15-day candle, that usually is real sexy time. And wherever that thing prints, as long as price is above the body of that candle, it is pretty much go time for that momentum. If it was obviously the other side, if it was a white candle back over here, as long as it's kind of below that, then you got to watch out. But right now, we are pretty much in the mode. We are pretty much like moving into bull mode all the way. The monthly is looking pretty decent. It would look better if it can close like probably above 29,000. That would look nicer just to kind of engulf this 21 a little bit. But weekly, pretty decent. 15, we're getting all the markers. And the longer we stay up here, the better it's building this chart up. And we're really just getting the solidification and confirmation that this is likely the low. Yeah, can it dump? Does Bitcoin like to dump and go back into these lows? Oh, absolutely. It does that a lot. It's done it most of the times back in the days. If you look in this area here, it rallies out of the base and, kind of comes back and dumps another 20% to test the zone. Same here, too. Rallies out of the base over here, but it still comes back down to test it like 42%. So now the same kind of thing can be happening here. If we rally, let's just say we kind of rallied about here, and we can dump now like 30%, and we're still inside of this range. So this is very constructive for the bulls. I'm still in the camp of this is likely the low here. and we just need a little bit more time to digest it. The halving is coming up. It gets closer and closer and closer. Let's go to the halving chart that we've shared on here a bunch of times. It's following it like to the freaking T so far. We got defense again at the 382 blue box, which has happened in every single cycle. I have it marked here and here and here and here and here. So 382 on fib retracements. If you got price action above that, then the Momo is on that side. And in the case that is for the bulls at this point, defending here nicely. You can see one little test here, and it almost came back on the Corona crash, just shy of it. You can see a couple times here. It just pinged like right at the top of the box. And here right now, we've been pinging at the top of the box. So I can't flip at this point. Oh, oops, that's not what I wanted to go to daily. I can't flip to macro bearish on this anymore until we're comfortably back below probably like 21,000. I am in buy the dip mode on crypto at this point until we lost that number, and pretty much buying any kind of sell-offs in other coins like I did with the STX thing, especially on stronger coins that have nice structure like this one. I like stuff like that. I like TON has a good one because it's been rallying and been in an uptrend since, last summer. So that's like relative strength. So this is the longer Bitcoin stays up here, man, the more these freaking altcoins are going to just start catching up to it. It pretty much is inevitable. So, and I posted that chart too on my ideas not too long ago about, changed my mind. It's time to reassess the situation. And, you can go check that out or whatever on my ideas page, just kind of like saying, we finally had the rally we needed, the counter trend rally, mostly based on the weekly of getting comfortably above there for at least a few weeks. We've now had, most of this year. It'll actually be almost a few months at the end of this month that we've been above the 21. And that is very, very significant price action. That means we have to reassess. And, a big part of the trading psychology chart, which is like my logo or whatever, my avatar, is, disbelief. People are like, nah, this isn't the rally. This is bullshit, whatever. And usually it takes a little bit more pumpage to get more people excited, like to get the normies excited. But just getting above some of this structure and price action is enough for me to start flipping my narrative. And I've been waiting for this for a long time. I didn't trade for a while after pretty much getting out of almost every crypto thing that I had back over here in this area. Whenever we lost 48,000, I was pretty much done with crypto until I saw some other side, and I didn't want to take shorts or nothing. I've gotten burned a lot of times in crypto doing shorts because it's mostly an upside price action tradable. It does sell off and dump hard, but a lot of times, for the most part, if you look at like a monthly chart, this thing is just moving upwards, right? So it's just more dangerous to short it. So patiently waited for this moment here, and I'm excited because it's been very limited crypto trading for pretty much all of last year. And now here we are finally getting to that point. So I really do think that this is playing very nice. It's following its previous price structure. Doesn't mean it has to, right? Nothing's guaranteed, blah, blah, all that. But, it does give us some pretty good odds. And the halving now is less than a year away, y'all. Isn't that crazy? After this month, it is less than a year away. It's around pretty much end of February, beginning of March is the next one, which is this red line right here. And so you can see every time we rally about where we are now, it's like it's pretty much like clockwork. And it's almost a little bit scary. Yeah, of course there is some things like this dumped really hard right before the halving, right? That was a little outlier, whatever. It does happen. But, we're well before it, and that kind of like little 9-month window or something before it seems to get some love and help solidify those bottoms. And that's just kind of the point I want to make. And I think that's where we're at. So Until we're back below 21,000 on Bitcoin on at least a daily open and close, I'm in full buy the dip mode, and that's it. So Ethereum pumping here pretty good above 1750. Same as the videos of the last few week or a couple weeks. Nothing's really changed about that. Would like to see this get going fairly soon though, as we kind of just lollygag up here. But yeah, same thing as Bitcoin's kind of 21K. It's a little bit lower on Ethereum. It'll be about mid 1500s. As long as we're above that, it looks pretty good. And I mean, we're doing the same thing, attempting the breakout. And it doesn't look as good as Bitcoin, which I actually like more, that Bitcoin's actually taking the reins back. Because to be fair, Ethereum looked kind of better for that most of the run last time with DeFi and NFTs and all that shit. But Mama Bear is kind of attempting to retake its stance, and you can see that also via the dominance chart too. This is what this chart is. So showing that Mama Bear, which makes sense too with the banking thing kind of happened. It's the tried and true one. So pretty good. I don't have any problems with this structure. We do have pretty decent resistance on Ethereum. That's the only major difference. We haven't taken out this summer high at about 19 hundo. We get above 1900 and above 30K on BTC, man, you're going to start seeing altcoins get pumpy. They're going to get pumpy. And it would be nice to see Litecoin coincide with all this too, above 100. That'd be a real sexy time. All right, guys, much love. Appreciate y'all joining me. I'm Z-Rex. It's been No Noise. We will be here on Friday morning. Happy trading. Much love. Have a good hump day. I'll see y'all then. Peace.